You remember when motorcycles were built to survive heat, weight, and neglect without begging for mercy? Police bikes still have to live under those conditions. Long idling, constant stop and go, tight turns, and heavy gear expose weak designs fast. That's why fleet decisions matter. They're made after failures, not ads. When a bike overheats, burns clutches, or lives on a service lift, it doesn't get a second chance. It gets replaced. These are the 10 police motorcycles that survived real-world duty cycles. Watch till the end. Number 1 shows what truly defines long-term durability. Number 10, Moto Guzzi 5. 850 police, long shifts, low-speed patrols, and endless idling expose motorcycles faster than any brochure ever will. This machine earned its place here because it was built around restraint, balance, and mechanical honesty, not fashion cycles. In service, the V850 shows why European police forces still value predictable behavior over brute output. It stays composed at walking speed, keeps heat away from the rider, and does not punish joints during long stationary periods. That matters more than peak numbers when an officer spends hours upright, scanning traffic, not chasing speedometers. There is also a cultural reason this bike survives. Departments that select it are choosing continuity, not novelty. Shaft drive means less daily fuss, and an air-cooled transverse layout keeps maintenance straightforward for fleets that cannot afford downtime. Riders who came up maintaining their own machines will recognize the logic immediately. It is the same mindset that once made simple touring bikes legends, because they worked every day. That is why this entry belongs on a list judged by duty, not dreams. The V850 does not ask for attention, and it does not pretend to be something else. It simply does the work, shift after shift, in conditions most civilian bikes never see. For experienced riders, it reflects a choice made under pressure, when procurement officers weighed training time, clutch wear, and slow speed stability above bragging rights. Knowing that every minute saved in service reduces costs and risk across an entire department. That logic mirrors how seasoned riders judge machines after decades of ownership, miles, repairs, and hard lessons learned far from showrooms' floors. Power output is approximately 80 horsepower from an 853 cubic centimeter transverse V-twin engine, delivering torque in the mid 50 pound-feet range, paired with shaft drive. Braking is handled by Brembo components with anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of a conventional front fork and rear monoshock. Wet weight is approximately 500 pounds, with a seat height just over 32 inches. That same respect for restraint shows up again, but pushed even further toward simplicity and cost discipline. Number 9. Royal Enfield. Interceptor 650 Police. Authority does not always arrive wrapped in chrome or excess horsepower. In many parts of the world, police work is less about intimidation and more about presence, visibility, and endurance. That is where this machine earns quiet respect. It was chosen not to overwhelm a situation, but to manage it calmly. The Interceptor serves officers who spend long hours weaving through traffic, stopping often, restarting constantly, and staying alert without fighting heat or weight. That restraint is deliberate, and it reflects priorities older riders understand immediately. What sets this bike apart is its refusal to complicate a simple job. There are no towering fairings or overloaded dashboards here. The riding position stays neutral, the controls feel familiar, and the engine delivers usable pull without drama. Police departments that operate on tight budgets favor machines that can be learned quickly and maintained easily. This platform answers both demands. It tolerates daily abuse, short trips, and constant clutch work without protest. For riders who grew up wrenching in their own garages, that honesty feels earned. There is also a historical echo worth acknowledging. This design philosophy mirrors the motorcycles many riders trusted decades ago, before weight and complexity crept upward. It reminds experienced owners that authority can come from composure rather than bulk. The Interceptor does not shout. It stays visible, predictable, and ready. That matters when an officer must dismount repeatedly. Measured output is approximately 47 horsepower from a 648 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing roughly 38 pound-feet of torque. Braking is provided by a bi-burr system with anti-lock braking system. Suspension uses conventional front forks and twin rear shocks. Wet weight is in the mid 400-pound range, with a seat height around 31 inches. Where this bike leans on calm and balance, the following entry answers a very different demand entirely. If this breakdown is earning time, hit like, so it reaches riders who care about truth. Subscribe for more no-nonsense motorcycle coverage, and share your experience in the comments. Number 8. Yamaha FJR1300 Police. Speed changes the nature of patrol work. Once velocities rise and distances stretch, comfort alone stops being enough. Stability, cooling, and fatigue management begin to decide whether a motorcycle is an asset or a liability. This machine entered police service because it solved a specific problem many departments faced when highways replaced city grids. Officers needed something that could run fast for long periods without shaking the rider apart or cooking itself in traffic. The result was a platform built around sustained performance rather than short bursts. What separates this bike from lighter patrol machines is composure. At speed, it stays planted and calm even when loaded with equipment. Wind protection reduces strain on shoulders and necks, while the riding position allows long hours without cramped joints. Police agencies that adopted it were not chasing style. They were responding to ticket volumes, pursuit requirements, and rider endurance limits. Over a full shift, those considerations outweigh curb appeal. Riders who have crossed multiple states in a day understand that difference immediately. There is also a mechanical confidence baked into this design. The engine does not feel stressed when asked to hold pace. Cooling systems were designed for continuous load, not occasional excitement. That matters in uniform, where idling, sudden acceleration, and sustained speed repeat endlessly. For seasoned riders, this recalls the era when Japanese manufacturers quietly dominated endurance and reliability charts, while others chased image. The FJR earned trust the slow way through miles logged and complaints avoided. Departments that keep these machines in service tend to keep them for years. Training time drops because behavior stays predictable. Maintenance schedules remain consistent. Officers focus on the job instead of managing quirks. That is why this entry belongs ahead of flashier options. It represents a moment when performance and practicality met without argument. Riders who value long-distance competence over trend cycles recognize that balance immediately and respect it. Power delivery is in the low 140 horsepower range, from a 1298 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine producing torque just under 100 pound-feet. Braking uses dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of adjustable front forks and a rear monoshock. Wet weight is in the mid 600-pound range, with a seat height just under 32 inches. Speed solves one problem, yet it creates others, which is where the next machine enters the conversation. Hit the description for the riding gear and equipment built to withstand the same punishment these patrol bikes face daily. Number 7. Kawasaki Concours 14 Police. Highway miles have a way of exposing empty promises. When patrol routes stretch for hours and speeds stay elevated, motorcycles either settle in or start wearing riders down. This machine earned its place by doing the first consistently. Police departments turned to it when they needed sustained performance, without the cost or complexity that often follows premium badges. The Concours 14 was never about image. It was about covering ground efficiently, day after day, without drama. What makes this bike respected in service is its balance between force and discipline. Acceleration comes easily, yet it never feels frantic. Stability remains intact, even when loaded with enforcement equipment. The chassis stays neutral through long sweepers, and the seating position supports a rider who must stay alert, not aggressive. Officers tasked with highway duty value predictability above all else. This platform delivers that predictability in a way that reduces fatigue and keeps focus where it belongs. There is also a financial reality behind its adoption. Departments choosing this bike are often answering to budget committees as much as supervisors. They needed speed and durability, but they also needed reasonable acquisition and maintenance costs. The Concours 14 answered both demands. Its engineering leaned on proven components rather than experimental systems, keeping service intervals straightforward. For riders who have owned machines long enough to remember carburetors and manual adjustments, that restraint feels familiar. Experienced riders understand this mindset immediately. Long-distance competence is not about peak thrill. It is about how a motorcycle behaves after hours in the saddle, in heat, wind, and traffic. This entry reflects that truth. It represents a period when Japanese manufacturers focused on endurance and value instead of chasing fashion. Police fleets noticed, and riders who measure motorcycles by miles rather than moments tend to agree. Output is in the mid-150 horsepower range from a 1352 cubic centimeter inline 4 engine, generating approximately 100 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes adjustable front forks and a rear monoshock. Wet weight is in the high 600-pound range with a seat height around 31 inches. Raw performance fades quickly when budgets tighten, and the next choice proves that reality clearly. Number 6. Zero DSRP police. Silence changes how authority moves through a city. When a motorcycle no longer announces itself with exhaust note or vibration, the entire dynamic of patrol work shifts. This machine entered service because urban policing evolved in ways traditional engines could not fully answer. Crowded streets, constant stop-and-go movement, and heat buildup punish conventional drivetrains. Departments looking for efficiency, not tradition, began paying attention when those problems kept stacking up. What sets this bike apart is how little it asks from the rider during a shift. There is no clutch fatigue at intersections, no heat soaking into legs while idling, no engine noise masking surrounding sounds. Officers operating it stay mentally fresher because physical strain drops dramatically. For seasoned riders, that benefit is easy to appreciate. Fatigue does not announce itself loudly. It creeps in quietly and degrades judgment over time. Reducing that load improves safety more than most upgrades ever could. Maintenance reality is another reason it landed here. Fleet managers measure motorcycles by hours out of service, not brand loyalty. With fewer moving parts, service intervals stretch longer, and failures become rarer. Brake wear and tire replacement still matter, but many traditional headaches disappear. Departments adopting this platform did so after running numbers, not following trends. They saw predictable uptime and lower operating cost per mile, especially in dense urban zones. There is skepticism among older riders, and that skepticism is fair. Sound, vibration, and mechanical rhythm have always been part of motorcycling's identity, but respect comes from results. This machine earned its place not by replacing heritage, but by solving a problem others struggled with. It works quietly, consistently, and without complaint. For experienced riders, that mirrors the respect given to any tool that performs reliably under pressure, even if it challenges long-held preferences. Power output is approximately 67 horsepower from an electric motor, delivering around 132 pound-feet of torque. Braking consists of dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension features fully adjustable front components and a rear monoshock. Wet weight is in the high 400-pound range, with a seat height in the low 32-inch range. Silence changes the equation, but endurance still matters, especially when tradition refuses to disappear. Number 5. Honda ST1300 PA. Longevity is not an accident in police service. It is engineered, tested, and proven under conditions most civilian riders never experience. This machine reached that status by surviving years of constant duty without demanding attention. Officers trusted it because it started every morning, stayed composed all afternoon, and returned ready the next day. That kind of dependability builds reputation quietly, mile after mile, long after newer designs rotate through fleets. What defined this platform was balance. It never chased extremes in styling or electronics. Instead, it focused on smooth delivery, predictable handling, and comfort that lasted entire shifts. Wind protection reduced fatigue without isolating the rider from surroundings. Those choices mattered for departments responsible for training riders quickly and keeping them healthy over long careers. Experienced riders recognize this mindset instantly. It mirrors the era when manufacturers built touring motorcycles to cover real distance without complaint. Maintenance schedules stayed reasonable, components were accessible, failures were rare. That is why this bike earned loyalty from officers who rode thousands of miles each year under pressure. When equipment disappears into the background, focus stays on the job. There is also a lesson here for civilian ownership. Reputation was earned through restraint, not reinvention. While newer machines chased dashboards and modes, this one stayed focused on fundamentals. Many riders still remember seeing them rack up enormous mileage with little more than routine service. That memory carries weight among riders who value confidence over novelty. It belongs at this position because it represents the turning point between old-school over-engineering and the modern era. It proved that reliability could be designed deliberately, not marketed later. That philosophy explains why departments kept them longer than expected, and why riders still speak about them with respect years after production ended. Rated output is approximately 125 horsepower from a 1261 cubic centimeter V4 engine, producing torque in the low 90 pound-feet range. Braking is managed by dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension uses conventional front forks and a rear single shock. Wet weight is typically over 700 pounds, with a seat height near 31 inches. That kind of longevity set a benchmark, and what follows shows how adaptability reshaped modern patrol duty. Number 4. BMW F750 GS Police. Crowded streets, broken pavement, and unpredictable terrain demand a different kind of discipline. Not every patrol happens on smooth highways or wide boulevards. In many cities and border regions, officers face curbs, alleys, gravel shoulders, and sudden detours that punish heavy touring platforms. This machine entered service because it answered those conditions without intimidation or excess. It is approachable, controllable, and confident at low speed, which matters more than raw presence when situations turn tight. What separates this bike from larger patrol machines is how easily it adapts. Upright ergonomics keep the rider relaxed and aware. Suspension travel absorbs uneven surfaces without drama. 𝐿𝐻𝐵𝐴𝑠. Riding position encourages balance rather than leverage, allowing officers to maneuver through spaces where heavier motorcycles hesitate. Departments selecting it were not chasing adventure branding. They needed a tool that could transition from pavement to rough ground without retraining riders or sacrificing control. Experienced riders recognize the philosophy immediately. It echoes earlier dual-purpose machines that earned respect by doing many jobs well enough, instead of one job aggressively. The F750 stays predictable when loaded with equipment and remains manageable for riders of varying experience levels. That reduces training time and accident risk, two factors fleet managers take seriously. For officers dismounting frequently and interacting with the public, that balance lowers fatigue over long shifts. There is also a practical truth behind its adoption. Modern policing increasingly demands flexibility. Events, protests, infrastructure repairs, and mixed-use zones create environments where adaptability matters more than outright speed. This platform meets those demands without pretending to be something else. It does not posture as a touring flagship or a high-speed interceptor. It simply works where conditions change by the block. For seasoned riders, this entry represents respect for control over excess. It proves that capability is not measured by size alone. Confidence comes from knowing a machine will respond the same way every time, regardless of surface or speed. That consistency explains why it earns a higher place on this list than larger, louder options. Power output is approximately 77 horsepower from an 853 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing about 61 pound-feet of torque. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of inverted front forks and a rear monoshock. Wet weight is just under 500 pounds with a seat height slightly above 32 inches. Control in chaos matters, yet comfort under pressure defines what separates good from exceptional. If you want deeper motorcycle stories built from real experience, subscribe now. This channel focuses on machines that last, not hype that fades. Staying subscribed means you never miss the next look at motorcycles built for duty, endurance, and respect. Number 3. BMW R. 1250 RT Police. Long before lights switch on or sirens sound, authority is established by how a machine carries itself at rest. This platform earned its position because it projects control without intimidation and stability without excess. Police agencies adopted it when expectations shifted toward longer shifts, higher safety standards, and riders staying sharp late into duty. It does not rush, does not fidget, and does not demand constant correction. That calm presence defines its role more than any badge mounted to the fairing. What separates this motorcycle from earlier patrol machines is refinement focused on the rider. Wind protection reduces fatigue while preserving awareness. Ergonomics favor long hours without stiffness. Electronics support the task rather than distract from it. Departments choosing this model were not chasing novelty. They were responding to data showing fewer incidents, fewer injuries, and improved endurance when officers felt less strain. That logic resonates with riders who understand that comfort is not weakness, but preservation. There is also a sense of maturity in how this machine behaves. Power delivery feels measured, not abrupt. Balance remains predictable, even at low speed with full equipment. Training time decreases because the bike communicates clearly. For veteran riders, that clarity matters more than spectacle. It reflects decades of accumulated lessons, refined rather than reinvented. That is why this platform has become a reference point in modern policing. Experienced riders notice another detail. Immediately, this motorcycle filters harshness without isolating feedback, building confidence during long hours when focus matters. It mirrors touring machines, refined rather than replaced. That continuity earns trust. This position reflects evolution done correctly, where technology serves experience, delivering consistent performance across climates, duty cycles, and skill levels, gaining loyalty and service and respect uniformly. Measured output is approximately 136 horsepower from a 1254 cubic centimeter horizontally opposed twin engine, producing roughly 110 pound-feet of torque. Braking uses dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension includes electronically adjustable front suspension and a rear single shock. Wet weight is in the low 600-pound range, with a seat height around 32 inches. Refinement earns trust, but familiarity builds authority in ways technology alone never can. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Road King Police. Authority does not need to be explained when it arrives already understood. This motorcycle earned its reputation long before modern patrol strategies or advanced electronics entered the conversation. Departments continued choosing it because familiarity breeds confidence, both for the officer riding it and for the public encountering it. The silhouette alone signals purpose. It stands upright, deliberate and calm, projecting control without aggression. That visual language matters in policing more than many admit. What keeps this machine relevant is how naturally it supports long duty cycles. The riding position favors relaxed shoulders and a neutral spine. Floorboards allow subtle movement during hours in the saddle. Weight stays low and predictable, especially at walking speed, where balance matters most. Officers tasked with traffic control, escorts, or extended highway presence rely on that stability. It reduces fatigue and lowers the risk of mistakes that come from fighting a motorcycle instead of working with it. There is also a deeper connection here for experienced riders. This platform carries forward a lineage built on mechanical feel rather than abstraction. Throttle response remains intuitive. Feedback travels through the bars and seat instead of being filtered away. That connection builds trust. When an officer knows exactly how a motorcycle will react, confidence replaces hesitation. That same principle explains why riders with decades of experience still gravitate toward machines that communicate clearly. Departments value parts availability and deep institutional knowledge. Training programs exist, mechanics know the systems, and downtime stays manageable, which matters as much as performance. This platform never needs to justify itself during budget cycles. Its placement reflects continuity, bridging tradition and modern duty, where comfort, torque, and presence align. Proving evolution can preserve identity and earn respect everywhere consistently. Power delivery comes from a 1746 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, producing torque in excess of 110 pound-feet. Braking is handled by dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension consists of conventional front forks and rear twin shocks. Wet weight exceeds 800 pounds, with a seat height under 29 inches. All of those elements converge when a platform becomes more than equipment and turns into expectation. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Electra Glide Police. Some motorcycles earn authority through volume or speed. This one earned it through presence and repetition. For decades, this platform became the visual definition of motorized policing in America, not because it demanded attention, but because it delivered consistency. Officers trusted it to idle for hours, carry heavy equipment, and still feel composed when the shift stretched long past expectations. That trust was not granted lightly. It was built mile by mile in weather, traffic, and fatigue. What separates this machine from everything below it is how completely it was shaped by real duty. Every surface, control, and proportion reflects feedback from officers who lived on it daily. Wind protection shields without isolating. Seating supports long hours without locking the body in place. The riding position encourages awareness, not aggression. That balance matters when authority must feel steady rather than confrontational. Experienced riders recognize something deeper here. This platform respects momentum, carries weight low, and responds predictably at walking pace where heavy machines become liabilities. Escorts, parades, highway patrols, and emergencies demand flexibility, and this motorcycle adapts without argument. That versatility built standardization. Heritage followed function. Familiar silhouettes reduced tension, simplified training, stabilized maintenance, and let officers focus on job. That outcome, not loyalty, defines why it earned the top position. Power is supplied by a 1746 cubic centimeter V-twin engine, delivering torque above 110 pound-feet. Braking uses dual front disc brakes with anti-lock braking system. Suspension features conventional front forks and a rear air-adjustable suspension system. Wet weight approaches 900 pounds, with a seat height in the high 27-inch range. That's the list built on duty, not hype. If you've ridden any of these, or owned something that proved itself the hard way, drop the model year and your miles in the comments. Real experience matters here. If this kind of straight-shooting breakdown is your lane, hit like, subscribe, and stick around.